Hello YouTube, welcome back to Kind Heart Homestead. My name is Ben, and I have my son Cedar behind me. We're kind of doing a boys morning because Angie has an appointment. We're on our off-grid property in the mountains of Virginia, and we wanted to take some time to tell you a bit about one of our local businesses here that has been very helpful in constructing this building and getting supplies. And that's Patrick Building Supply. They're down off of Highway 58 in Stuart, Virginia. I highly recommend them. They have very friendly staff. You can get Central States metal from them, and they have the catalogs there. You can get your paint, you can get conduit, lumber. I even got my culvert from them, and I've done a couple equipment rentals to excavate the site for this building. And they had a customer appreciation day just a couple days ago. I entered my name into their raffle, and we got this Traeger grill. So I'm very grateful to them for having such nice prizes for their raffle. So today we're gonna open this grill up and try to figure out how to use it. So stay tuned and I'll be right back. I've never actually used a pellet grill, so bear with me as I put this together and give it a try. If you have any expertise in pellet grills, if you have any tricks about maintaining them or any ways to improve my experience as I learn how to use it, please let me know down in the comments. Here is an inventory of all of the pieces as I took them out of the box. They were all packaged nicely inside of that barrel-shaped grill chassis. And now that I have these all out, it's a matter of just following the pictures in the diagram to get it assembled. There's not really any explanations of how this goes together, but the pictures seem to be more than enough. The only exception was when I have to attach the hopper to the main barrel chassis. There's a little electrical cable, and it wasn't really clear how that was supposed to thread through the hole. So let me know down in the comments if you're trying to assemble it. If you have any questions, I can let you know how I did it. But besides that, it went together very easily. The legs went on with thumb screws. It turns out that they're supposed to be removable, so that's why there's thumb screws. And the only tools that it actually comes with these tiny little wrenches with hexagonal holes. The small hex bolts that it comes with is what you need to use that tool on. There's two handles and then the hopper. I believe those are the only things you need tools to tighten. And then there's a drip tray, the actual grill, and then that weird little stainless cube that I believe keeps the pellets from getting grease on them. Those are the only things that you need to put inside. And those don't actually attach. They just kind of sit there and they're held in place by gravity. There's also a little grease bucket that you hang off the side, the right side there opposite from the hopper. And as you cook your meats, all of the assembly pieces slope down towards that bucket. And they mention in the manual that you just need to keep this clean, inspect it every time before you're about to cook because you don't want a grease fire. You also don't want to get the wood pellets wet. So if there was a flare-up, it's not as simple as just pouring a cup of water in it like you might do in a traditional cheap grill. You would actually need to allow it to burn itself out, allow the entire grill to cool down, and then you could clean up the grease. There's also an electrical component to this. There's a cord that's about 6 feet long that's attached to that hopper on the left, and you have to use that because pellet grills use a fan and the auto feed for the hopper. Here's a close-up of our new fully assembled Traeger grill. This little flap opens up the chamber where you have to insert your wooden pellets. You can see that little honeycomb-shaped grate. That doesn't really do anything to separate the pellets. I think all it's there for is a safety so your hand can't get stuck in that little auger down there. So I'm using the fresh grease bucket just as a receptacle to move these pellets just because I opened a new bag and it's pretty full. But I'm not going to use this grease bucket again for that purpose because it's going to become quite dirty as I start to use this grill. So I don't know how full this really needs to be. I'm just filling it up to the little safety grid. I don't think I mentioned this yet, but I'm actually preparing to fire this up just for its first seasoning fire. And the manual says that you have to do this at maximum heat, really just to, I guess, burn anything off from the factory and make sure everything is sort of primed and ready to go for an actual cooking session. So now that I have the pellets in and the hardware out, I flip on the power switch, which activates the computer, and then the computer allows me to select whatever temperature I want all the way up to 450 degrees, similar to an oven. So that's what I'm doing now. And then I'm going to put the hardware back in and let everything cook for a few minutes. So that's the plan. So let me show you exactly what this entails. There's kind of like a little cheat code that you have to do holding the top arrow and the ignite button. And that's actually putting the hopper motor into a prime mode, where it's going to slowly dispense some of the pellets into that actual little burn barrel located in the chassis of the grill. You can see here they're slowly being pushed in, and I guess they always just stay in that chamber as long as you keep your pellets going, and you never really have to do this again unless for some reason you have to clean it out. I don't really know. This is my first time using a pellet grill, so I really don't know what I'm doing here. But now that there's some wood in that bowl, the manual says it's time to put the components back in and then do that first burn I was talking about. So the order of operations putting it back in is to do that stainless steel cube that covers and protects the pellets. And then the drip tray, which angles down to the outside. And then the grate, which is actually a coated grate, which I'm not really used to. It doesn't feel that metallic to the touch, so I think it's coated with some sort of non-stick material. And now I'm cranking it up to maximum heat. All right, now it's time to test out the Traeger grill. Behind me, I have a round roast of beef, along with some herbs and spices. I need to fire up the grill now, and then I'm gonna see if I can get this cooked. I'm gonna go ahead and bring it up to its maximum temperature, which I believe is 450. And I'm just gonna sear it into a cast iron pan, open it up, let it cool down a bit, and then I'm going to do a final grill. 450, ignite, simple as that. So let's give it some time to warm up, then I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do with the meat. I'm not a gourmet chef by any means, but I do cook every day. If you're kind of timid about cooking, you should really just experiment. I hope you could use this video as inspiration. Just grab a cut of meat, grab some salt and pepper, rub it around, throw it on a grill, throw it in the oven, throw it on a pan, whatever you have. I would say that's a good first step in the homesteading lifestyle, trying to be more self-sufficient. You can't always trust people to look out for your health. So even if you're going to a restaurant, who knows where they get that meat or what kind of materials they're using in the kitchen. So I'm gonna get this started now. For this roast, I'm drying both sides with a paper towel and then rubbing in some salt, pepper, and garlic powder. All right, I have my cast iron Dutch oven lid in there, acting as a small roasting pan, just so I can sear this for about 10 minutes. Then I'm going to change the temperature and let it cook for about an hour. Cast iron is very dense and it takes a bit longer to preheat than other materials. So even if the grill says it had just preheated, I would give it another 10 minutes or so just to make sure you have a high enough temp in the cast iron to get a good sear. This is my first time using a probe to keep track of my meats as I cook them. Usually when the recipe time frame has elapsed, I'll put a meat thermometer in just to check to make sure everything is cooked to sanitary temperatures. But in this case, because it's a large roast and it's going to take a while to cook, I'm putting the probe in. And in this particular model, you have to press the center button twice to show the probe temperature. So here is the final result once all of the cook time has elapsed and the center temperature of this meat is exactly where it needs to be, if not a few degrees over. I'm going to serve this with a side of steamed spinach. And I'm struggling a bit to get the probe out, so I'm just going to cut my serving off for this meal and take the probe out later once this whole thing cools down. This was definitely not bad for my first attempt. The meal was delicious, but as you can see here, there's no red or pink left anywhere inside of this meat, which for my preferences means it's slightly overcooked. As I get more practice, what I would like to do is get the grill turned off and get the meat resting a few degrees before it hits the temperature that I'm looking for. And then as it rests, it'll continue to cook to perfection. My roast is done, so it's time to eat dinner, and I'm pretty excited about it. I cooked a small side of spinach, just wanted to do something small so the meat would be the main feature of the meal. I am very excited about how this all turned out. If you guys are ever in Patrick County, Virginia, you should stop by Patrick Building Supply, at least just to check it out on your way up Highway 58. And if you have any interest in a pellet grill, I do recommend getting a Traeger. This is the tailgate model and is designed with collapsible legs so it can sit on the tailgate of a pickup truck. We actually have a pickup truck. It's back there behind the shed. Probably not going to use it for that purpose, but it's nice to know that that option exists. Let me know if you have any recipe or cooking related requests, and I'll see you back here next time on Kind Heart Homestead.